What's up guys, welcome to Monchkinz Gaming, where we take your gaming to the next level. This is Monchkinz logging in to bring you your Brave Cross Hero of the Week. This week's Hero of the Week is the pretty assassin, Maskerade. But don't be fooled, he's actually a guy. Maskerade is considered as a front DPS with ratings of A for survivability, S for DPS, and A for support. His main skill is called illusory ambush, which he summons 3 mirages that attack enemy rears. These targets rangers, wizards, and bards first. Mirages deal 141% attack of Maskerade and have a 40% chance to silence their targets for a total of 3 seconds. The attack of units damaged by mirages is reduced by 50% for a total of 5 seconds. Mirages last 7 seconds, which obviously will increase as you gain more star levels. Maskerade does not gain rage when mirages are present. His basic attack releases a piercing shadow that deals 100% attack damage to 10 targets in front. Each unit pierced adds 10% damage that does not increase target's rage. Each attack restores 4 rage to the caster. His main talents include Flash Ambush. 25% damage received is reflected evenly to 3 enemy units and does not trigger Hanzo's Sword Master talent when he awakens. Attack speed 4, rage 5, and bloodthirst are all self-explanatory. His mythic ability is called the First Strike. When the target is in Maskerade's attack range, he releases a shadow that pierces 10 enemy units, slowing them for 5 seconds and reducing all enemies' default rage by 20. Also increases allies' attack speed by 15%. This lasts for a total of 4 seconds. His unity include Hero, which is currently locked, Shadowfront, which is currently locked as well, and Brawn is unlocked once you get Hephaestus. Now that we've spoken about all his talents and abilities, let's talk about his pros and cons. As always, we'll start with the pros. Maskerade has a very good DPS, especially when his awakening is active. You'll get 3 more illusionary masquerades that can deal more damage, plus gives you a little bit of silence and gives you a little bit more defense because of their ability to reduce the incoming damage by 50% by 5 seconds. So his main skill, illusory ambush, is quite a good ability. Now it doesn't last very long, it only lasts for 7 seconds, but in that 7 seconds there's a chance for them to get to silence the enemy, especially if you're dealing with a lot of mage class enemies. His basic attack is not too bad as well, as he can deal piercing damage, which adds up 10% each time it pierces a unit. It's quite good dealing with mobs, maybe in the story mode and such. Flash Ambush is also quite good because basically all the incoming damage to Maskerade is being split 25%, for in total in 3 enemy units. So basically it's reflected to your enemies. 25% is a lot of damage to be reflected to your enemy, so that adds another bonus DPS for you, plus you get increased attack speed, and he has 30% damage convert into HP, which is good for survivability. Now his mythic ability is a little bit debatable. I mean, First Strike only happens once, and basically it activates at the start of the fight. In essence, the ability is quite good, especially the default rage is reduced by 20. This makes sure there's about a 90% chance that you will basically awaken first before your enemies. Of course, this depends on your party composition and depends on your enemy's party composition as well. But this ensures that you will probably awaken first before your enemy. This also increases your allies' attack speed, this only lasts for 4 seconds. However, it is quite good, and unfortunately this mythic ability is a once-off use. So like I said, it does only activate at the start of the fight. Now let's go through some cons. There's not much cons with Maskerade. Maskerade has a very sort of decent amount of defense, and he has a decent amount of HP. If I'm going to compare him, he's probably in the lower end in terms of XMK3, especially the faded version. But if you do manage to fade Maskerade, he will probably have the same amount of HP and defense. But at this point in time, if you compare him to XMK3, probably XMK3 will have a little bit more edge in terms of defense and HP. And if you compare him to Kiri Knight, of course, Kiri Knight will have more HP and more defense because he is more defensive that way. And I will add that First Strike is probably a little bit of a con in some ways because of the activation. I mean, it only happens at the start of the fight, which is quite, I would say, disappointing in a way. It would have been better maybe if you can activate this in some other way. But at the same time, it is quite good if you can take down your opponent in the first awakening. This is good if you're rocking a lot of DPS. And in saying that, it is a little bit in between the pros and the cons. Now that I've talked about the pros and cons, let's talk about my final thoughts on Maskerade. Let's start off with PvP. PvP wise, Maskerade has a little niche there, especially now with cross arena matches. There are some people who are using Maskerade, and I don't blame them, especially if you have a very decent Maskerade. This can probably, I guess, sort of, what's the word I'm looking for, unsettle your opponent because of First Strike. Basically, once First Strike hits, then they reduce their default rage by 20. There's a huge chance for you to take advantage of that and take down their entire party. Now, in Arena, however, there's probably not much space for Maskerade. There's a lot of front DPS and a lot of better tanks out there right now. And unfortunately, Maskerade is not very tanky as compared to other tanks or front melee. Now let's talk about PvE. PvE wise, I can see him being reasonably well used in story mode, in lair, in Dominion maybe as well. I mean, I wouldn't say there's a big use for Maskerade apart from the I guess the Imperial only floors, you know, those stages. There's probably a good niche for him there, especially you know, in the later stages, in the later floors, or whatever you want to call it. First Strike is invaluable, and if you're, you know, fighting a lot of mages just like 215, the silence will probably help you interrupt their awakening. But in saying that, there's not much else in campaign. You know, Empyrean, Blood Jewels is okay. I wouldn't really use him in Mountain Bandit, not in 10 Eunuchs as well. Probably in Enemy Invasion, there's a small niche for him there, but there are, like I said, much better heroes that you can use. Now, in totality, Maskerade, I find, is a very specific hero that you would use for a very specific reason. And like I said earlier, I think if you can put him with some good support and a lot of DPS, then, and if that DPS is really good, then Maskerade can probably take the enemy down in one awakening. Now, I think that's it for this video, guys. Remember to click like, subscribe, and share this video if you find it helpful at all. As always, I would like to hear from you guys what you think of Maskerade. Have you been using Maskerade, and have you have more than 5-star Maskerade in your party? I would like to know, and let me know how he is doing in Cross Arena. Personally, I haven't really used him a lot, and I would like to hear from you guys if you are using him. This is Monchkinz logging off, and I'll see you guys in the next level. And I'll leave you guys with the rest of the layer video.